welcome back everyone to another Gold Matters conversation. This is a particularly interesting opportunity to have this moment with you, Egon. The latest executive order out of DC is certainly on our and many other people's minds. At the end of this week, Trump slammed a 39% tariff on Switzerland, including gold, and specifically on 1 kilogram and 100-ounce bars, which to me smacks of being very deliberate. The kilo bar, for many who know this, is the most traded bar on the New York COMEX, and this bar just got about 39% more expensive, and the December futures contracts jumped past 3,500 on Friday. So this really does strike a blow to COMEX's ability to short the metal as gold goes vertical in price at the oh-so-timely backdrop of much discussed buzz of whether the U.S. is going to revalue its gold holdings. Is this a coincidence? It is something that our advisor, Grant Williams, would say would make me go hum, make me go hum. But among other things, many are asking, where is Congress in all this? I mean, Trump seems to be ignoring Congress and Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, with tariff policies really kind of just falling under emergency acts. And they're changing by the day. I mean, such bypass in the other branches would make, I think, the FDR of the 1930s blush. And meanwhile, Trump is sending, a shock each day to a world already kind of staring down the barrel of market bubbles everywhere, massive debt problems, and probably the greatest geopolitical risk since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I'm reminded of Henry Kissinger's famous quote that, to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, to be a friend is fatal. And in the early months of this year, the U.S. was importing about 350 tons of these bars from Switzerland. The average over the last 2 years was 20,000 tons. So we've been front running this, and now we're biting the hand that feeds us. And Egon, you and I were just talking informally, and you were describing these policies out of DC as kind of Dodge City. And Egon, you are certainly someone who, as a Swiss citizen and someone who's a little bit about gold, have the right to a pretty informed opinion. I mean, you are literally the founder of von Greyerz Gold Switzerland. You're Swiss, and I think again you have an informed opinion. I think the question on our minds, and you can address better than just about anyone in this particular context, are what are these gold tariffs, these tariffs on Switzerland for gold? What does that mean for the gold market and gold investing in general, Egon, and perhaps more importantly, what does that mean for gold investing or gold ownership in Switzerland from your very unique perspective?
Well, Matt, as Emerson said, gold is for freedom and for benefit. The US is going the other way. These executive orders now, and the latest one that we're talking about today is on gold and tariffs on gold. 39% import duty into the US on 100-ounce and 1 kilo bars. This is the time to get out of Dodge City for the simple reason that the US is becoming lawless. You have now tariffs are a tax, and taxes are set by Congress. And here, every day, Trump is issuing a new executive order in contravention of the US Constitution. And these ones on gold now are again breaching the Constitution of the United States. So this is why I'm saying, in such a lawless dictatorship, you should get out of Dodge City quickly, because it's going to get worse. You will not just see tariffs coming and going, and this one might very well be changed tomorrow. There's some explanation coming apparently on this tariff, and it might be dropped or it might not be. But this capriciousness that we're seeing now by the president's office means that, as a holder of gold, I would not trust to hold my gold in the US with such lawless behavior. And that's why we say, get out of Dodge City. Don't hold your gold in the US. It's going to get worse. I am absolutely convinced with the pressures that the US has, both on the balance of payment, on the deficit and debts, that there will be forced. First of all, there will be exchange control, and you will not be able to take money out of the US at some point, and I don't think that's too far away. So I wouldn't take that risk, and therefore, if you want to save some of your assets in a safe place outside of the US financial system, and I think the US financial system will be under massive pressure. Also, the banks are in a very, very dire state in the US. The government might very well decide that you must put a part of your banking assets, money or even other assets, into treasury bonds for a long period, which you cannot touch thereafter, because the US needs financing. So there are so many reasons why you should hold some of your assets, your wealth preservation assets, outside of Switzerland. Now, outside of the US. And where do you then hold them? Well, obviously, Switzerland is one of the oldest democracies in the world. It's 700 years old. And there is rule of law in Switzerland, and there is direct democracy. You couldn't have a president in Switzerland who made these kind of decisions that we've seen now Trump make, because it's all about direct democracy, and the people has a say in everything in Switzerland. You can basically have a referendum about anything you want to contest or introduce as into the Swiss constitution and in the legal system. So therefore, it's a much safer place to be. Switzerland also, some Americans worry about war in Europe. It's not going to be a war in Europe. Russia is not going to go west at all. This war is all about Russia protecting its border. That's all it is. And against the NATO that's just getting closer and closer. So there will not be any boots on the ground in Western Europe at all. So there's no reason to worry about that. And as I said, Switzerland is not a NATO member, and it's probably, if there was a war ever, then Switzerland is most likely going to stay outside again. So, and Switzerland is it's the biggest hub for storing, well, both producing gold. 70% of all gold bars are refined in Switzerland, and Switzerland has the most private vaults globally. Of course, we store gold in Switzerland, and one of the vaults is a mountain vault that it's nuclear bomb proof. And so it's clearly the safest way to hold gold, and this is why our major customers are holding their gold there. We also still store gold in Singapore. It's also democracy. I think Switzerland is superior to Singapore from the point of view that Singapore, if there is a war in that part of the world, the US has a naval base in Singapore. So there's a risk that there'll be major troop movements there. And that's not the best place to store gold. But still, even in our view, we store gold there for clients who want to be there. But we prefer Switzerland as number one, and Singapore is number two. So this is really, as I said, this is the time to get out of Dodge City. Now, and Dodge City is the US. Remember, gold is a global market. Tariffs in Switzerland or on Swiss gold into the US, it's a small part of the total. There's a gold exchange just opening in St. Petersburg, and there is obviously the Shanghai Gold Exchange, which is very big, and those two are there to actually set the real price of gold, because it's the BRICS countries that now are determining what's going to happen in the gold market, and it's going to go away from the futures exchanges like COMEX, LBMA in London, etc. So we will see gold trading going more and more over to the BRICS countries. And remember that China is the #1 producer of gold in the world, and Russia is #2. And India is the biggest saver of gold in the world together with China. So that's where the gold trade is going. And so the US is not going to be that important in the future. But as I said, we are there to help people to preserve wealth. We've done that for 25 years. We entered it when gold was about $300 initially. And we intend to help people for many years to come. And everybody should now think about, if you don't hold gold today, own physical gold that you directly control and store it in a vault either in Switzerland or in Singapore, away from your home country, because if something happens, let's say in the US, at least you have your gold outside, and the authorities can't reach it, and you can flee to your gold if you want to.
Yeah.
As I always say, you protect yourself and then you enjoy life. You look after friends and family, and don't worry on a daily basis. There's so much to worry about today. But as long as you put your house in order and have your gold, you can sleep. You can sleep well at night.
Yep.
Matt, you got anything to add to this?
Well, only that Egon, you're too modest to say it, but you've been saying the same message for 25 years, and it's been very prophetic. Banking risk, geopolitical risk, currency risk, these type of capital controls, the increasing desperation out of the West. To your point, the BRICS have been playing chess. Well, America looks like a headless chicken playing checkers, trying to catch up, legislation by the hip. And meanwhile, we're messing around with all these orders and looking very, to me, debt desperate, whether it's currencies, whether it's gold revaluation, whether it's tariffs out of Switzerland, again, biting the hand that feeds us. We look desperate. Well, the BRICS countries, again, this isn't a conspiracy theory, have been carefully playing the long game. And we're looking very short-footed right now. And I'm an American. I love this country. I love America. It doesn't look like the democracy I studied in civics or grad school or undergrad. It looks more like an oligarchy with elections. But again, that's open for debate. But clearly, gold can't solve every problem in the world, but we can protect ourselves from the financial controls and the debasement of currencies. And Egon, that's why I'm here, because you've said this consistently for years, and now we're seeing cracks everywhere. And here we are. And Switzerland still stands out as the jurisdiction and the democracy that I wish I could see in my own country. But here we are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I expect that we are near a major fall or potentially collapse of asset markets, that is stocks, bonds, property, etc.
Yeah.
It could have happened already in 2008. It didn't. I think we're near again. You could never time this exactly, and there's no use timing it. Our investors, including ourselves, have been sitting on gold for 25 years as our primary investment. You sleep well at night. You know that governments are going to work for you every day to destroy the value of paper money, and therefore gold valued in paper money is going to go up for a very long time, because nobody is going to start creating surpluses and ending the debt creation and the deficit.
Right.
So that's why it's such a wonderful thing. You rather than worry about your stocks every day, and remember, gold is the best performing asset class in this century by a big margin, and I exclude Bitcoin there, which is not a proper asset class in my view. And therefore, it's so wonderful. You hold gold, and you don't have to look at your price every day. You never look at price, because the price of gold is irrelevant. You just know that over time, it's the only money that has ever survived in history, period.
Period.
And that makes it such a simple investment to hold for wealth preservation purposes. So thank you, Matt. It's been, I think it's an important short little broadcast this, and I hope that people will listen to it, because it is essential to take these steps and hold some gold for your protection. Thanks very
Absolutely.
much for listening. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Egon.
Bye-bye.